Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I decided that we should go over what characters have already been introduced and what chapters they are introduced in, as well as the episodes. And also I want to go into the 4 major characters that should be showing up in season 2 and what chapters that they appear in the manga. So with all that being said, let's get into it and let's talk Ranma 1/2. All right, guys. Sorry I'm putting my hair up, but it does not want to cooperate today. So, and there's a lot of it, as you can see. So it's going up. So let's start off with our titular character, Ranma. He's introduced in episode 1, obviously, and in chapter 1 of the manga. Along with Ranma, you have Genma Satome, who is Ranma's father, and he is also introduced in episode 1 and in chapter 1. Then you have the Tendos. You have Akane, Kasumi, Nabiki, and Soun Tendo. They're all introduced in chapter 1 and episode 1. And these are the characters that you will be with through the entire series, from start to finish. The next group of characters are either romantic foils, or they're also some comedic relief, or people just vying for Ranma's attention, or romantic rivals as well. So the first one being Tachiwake Kuno, and Kuno is a presence throughout the entire series. And he is introduced in episode 2 of the new series and is introduced in chapter 3 of the manga. And then you have his sister, Kodachi Kuno, the Black Rose. Now she is introduced in episode 6 of the anime and is introduced in chapter 17 of the manga. Now the reason I went with the Kuno siblings instead of going Tatewaki and then Ryoga, and Ryoga Hibiki is introduced in chapter 10 of the manga and episode 4, is because I just wanted to group the Kuno siblings together because they sort of had the same energy character-wise. And you'll see that throughout the series going forward. But Ryoga is sort of like trying to be a romantic foil to Ranma for Akane's affection. And also romantic rival as well. And then we get introduced to Azusa Shirotori and Mikado Zanzanen. They are only in that tiny little arc in the beginning of the manga. They don't really show up besides that, I don't believe, at all. I know in the original anime, Azusa Shirotori showed up in some anime only filler, but besides that, she wasn't really a big character. Then we have Tofu Ono, Dr. Tofu. Dr. Tofu is introduced in chapter 3 and is introduced in episode 2. And he has the biggest crush on Kasumi, if you remember correctly. And then our last person to introduce is none other than Shampoo. Shampoo is the last person to be introduced, and she's one of the main cast members that you're going to want to keep your eye on throughout the rest of the series. So she is introduced in episode 10 of this new anime, and she is introduced in chapter 30 of the manga. Alright, and so now we're going to get into the 4 characters that will be introduced in season 2, hopefully. Maybe not if they go with the same chapter structure that they did with the first season, which only covered about 36 chapters of the manga. So we could be leaving one of them out. But let's get into all of that. So we have Cologne, who is Shampoo's great-grandmother. She is introduced in chapter 42. We have Moose, who is a childhood friend of Shampoo's, and that's all I'm going to give you, and he's introduced in chapter 43. And we have Haposai, who is the founder of the Anything Goes School of Martial Arts, and he will be introduced in chapter 63 of the manga. And the last character that should be introduced in season 2 is Ukyo Kuonji, who is a childhood friend of Ranma's, and that's all I'm going to give you on that, because if I keep going, we'll get into serious spoiler territory. And I'm trying not to spoil, although I think I'm going to go into these characters and do character analysis on all of these characters. I am painstakingly rereading the entire manga right now, as well as also writing notes for a Urusei Yatsura video that I hope to put up in the near future. I also have school starting in a little bit, so I'm trying to get videos out weekly. So bear with me if it's a few days off here or there, but I'm trying to at least crank out one video a week. But Ukyo Kyonji is introduced in chapter 85 of the manga. So if they decide to introduce her in season 2, I could see her being the cliffhanger of season 2. But that would mean they would have to cover about 50 some odd chapters, 49 chapters, to get to her introduction. So we will see what happens. I actually have Ranma playing on in the background right now. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to check out some of my other videos, feel free to. See you later.